What's in store for the 2024 housing market? Are we going to see a decline in home prices and an increase in home buyer affordability? Or is it going to be a continuation of what we've seen over the past couple years, where we've seen a huge housing inventory shortage, an increase in home prices, and a lot of competition in the market? Well, that's exactly what we're going to discuss on today's video. We will review what you can expect out of the housing market here in 2024. That way you can make the best decision for you and your family if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate this year. Today we'll review everything from housing inventory to buyer demand to the number of transactions we can expect, what's going on with mortgage rates, and where we can expect home prices to end by the end of 2024. And if you are new to the channel and want to make sure you know everything going on in our local market, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you can be the first to know of what's going on in the Charlotte housing market. Hi guys, my name is Josh Finigan, team leader with the Finigan Group, powered by eXp Realty, and every single day myself and my team get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you looking to move to the Charlotte area or within the Charlotte area, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, feel free to give us a call, text us, email us, or schedule a Zoom meeting so we can meet face to face. The link is in the description below. We'd love to be able to help you make that smooth transition of a move. So let's go ahead and jump on in. But before we look at the housing market in particular, let's take a macro look at the overall economy. This will help us determine what exactly is going to happen in 2024. As of today, we have headline CPI inflation sitting at 3.1%. In addition to having core PCE sitting at 3.2%. Now, why is this important? Well, inflation is one of two parts of the Federal Reserve's mandate. They want to make sure that inflation is below the 2% threshold. The other part of that mandate is they want to make sure they maintain full employment. And the reason we're talking about this is before the pandemic, the Federal Reserve really had a difficult time getting the US economy to a 2% inflation number. And this struggle really took place over the past decade. And then comes the pandemic and the federal government infuses billions of dollars into the US economy. Jerome Powell turned the money printer on and then things got crazy. And that really caused prices to rise very rapidly, which is a big problem for the US economy. And this is why the Federal Reserve got very aggressive on raising rates. They got the Fed prime rate from 0% all the way up to 5.5%, which is where we're sitting today as we shoot this video, which is a very aggressive monetary policy. With inflation sitting at 3.1%, the Federal Reserve is expected to cut rates here in 2024, possibly sometime between March and June. And it's currently expected the Federal Reserve will cut rates about 3 times throughout this year, which right now the Fed's rate is at 5.5%. So if they drop the rates by 25 basis points 3 times this year, that will be 0.75% of a drop, taking us from 5.5% to 4.75%. which would still be a very restrictive monetary policy. And if we look at the inflation numbers, it's expected inflation will go down to 2.2% by 2025. Now, one reason we want to take a close look at what the Federal Reserve is planning on doing is whatever their plans are and what they decide to do will make a huge impact on our housing market here in 2024. So their decisions will have a huge impact on housing prices and mortgage rates. The next question is, are we going to see a recession this year? And if we take a look at the super high rates we've seen throughout 2023, the employment market has remained relatively resilient. Taking into account everything going on in the overall economy, one thing that we can expect here in 2024 is the employment market to get a little bit softer. Now, is it going to get so bad that we see this huge, deep, dark recession? And I just frankly don't see that being the case. With that being said, I do think we'll see a recession sometime this year, probably sometime around the middle of the year. And if we take a look at the soft landing, I think that's a lot more of a possibility at this point. Now, if you asked me 6 months to a year ago if I thought we could see a soft landing in this economy, my answer would have been no. But now if we take a look at all the data, if we take a look at how inflation's coming down, the Federal Reserve starting to pivot, and we've still seen employment remain strong, I think that the soft landing approach is a lot more likely. Now, because the Fed's probably going to start cutting rates and inflation starting to moderate, I do believe we're going to start seeing mortgage rates decline here in 2024. Now, at the time we're filming this video, the mortgage rates are sitting around 6.6%, which is about 1.5% off the highs that we saw in October, which was the highest we've seen the mortgage rates in the past 23 years. But the big question is, how far down can mortgage rates go? And the answer really depends on who you follow in the market. And right now, we have really smart people in the economy saying that we can expect to see mortgage rates somewhere in that 4% range. Now, I personally think that is quite unrealistic. For that to happen, we would need to see a lot more bad news in this economy. For this to happen, you'd really need inflation to plummet much lower, the Federal Reserve to get much more dovish on their monetary policy, and you'd probably need a huge increase in unemployment numbers. If we did see more signs the economy is heading to a harder crash or a bigger recession, then you'll probably see more rate cuts this year. And with all the data that we have right now, I feel like that is quite unlikely. I feel like we're gonna see, like I said earlier, a little bit more of a soft landing, which means we'll probably see mortgage rates end this year somewhere in the high 5s or low 6%. Now, with that being said, we're probably going to see some versatility and fluctuation throughout the year depending on the economic reports that come out. Some months, reports may come out that show the economy in a good light. Those months, you may see the mortgage rates a little bit higher. Let's say some other months, you see some reports that come out that show the economy in a more negative light. You may see that the mortgage rates are a little bit lower those months. So you'll probably see the mortgage rate bounce around quite a lot here in 2024. My thoughts, you're gonna see it range somewhere between 5.75 and 6.5%, which is a lot better than the mortgage rates we saw in 2023, but it's nothing compared to what we saw back in the pandemic. In fact, I doubt we're going to see mortgage rates as low as 2.5 to 3% for a very long time. But guys, mortgage rates aren't the only thing that drive the housing market. It's also based on supply versus demand. So supply and demand will also have a huge factor on home prices and the amount of transactions. So let's go ahead and discuss supply versus demand and inventory. Now, typically you start the year with the lowest amount of inventory you can see throughout the year. As you go into the warmer months, into spring and into summer, you see more and more inventory come on the market. And I expect this to be the same this year because it's a very seasonal trend. Now, our housing inventory here in Charlotte and across the United States is much lower this time this year than we saw in January of last year. And frankly, it is because a lot of homeowners have decided not to make a move on their property, right? If you look at the average homeowner in the United States, 80% of them have locked in a 30-year fixed rate mortgage of 5% or less, and 33% of them have locked in a rate below 3%. So a lot of people that would have made a move decided not to because they're looking at those much higher rates. And this is one of the reasons why we saw such low amounts of inventory in 2023 and why we'll probably see that for the first part of this year as well, right? Fewer people are deciding to put their homes on the market, which means there's fewer transactions. And that's one of the things that has really kept our housing market resilient through these super high mortgage rates is frankly, there's less of homes available and there are still people purchasing homes. One thing that we can expect though going through this year, as those rates drop, not only will we have more buyers in the market, but a lot of these home sellers will also choose to make a move. Now, the real estate market is different than many other markets out there. Let's say that there's a huge snowstorm and you're not able to really traverse through the town. Now, McDonald's will lose business as well as Apple stores. Now, the McDonald's will never get that business that they lost back, right? People will just eat other things. The Apple store, if you're looking for a new phone and you're not able to get to the Apple store because of the snowstorm, once that snowstorm subsides and you're able to go back out, you're gonna go buy that iPhone. So real estate is the same way as the Apple store. There's still a lot of pent-up demand of people that wanted to make a move last year, but didn't. So as these rates drop, we're probably gonna see that free up and more people making those moves. And I know there's a lot of people that made a purchase through the pandemic or afterwards that hate where they live now. In fact, Clever Real Estate recently did a study and found that 93% of recent home buyers regret their home purchase for one reason or another. Whether it is they didn't really know what they wanted, didn't like the location, or when they moved in, found that maybe the whole process was rushed and they kind of felt like they had to jump on the first house that they saw. So we can expect to see a lot of these people start getting off those sidelines once these rates drop and enter the market. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you have a home to sell and you're buying another one, you're really putting a home on the market but taking another home off the market. So you're not going to see this huge fluctuation in inventory. It may affect it a little bit, but not a lot. In order to see a substantial impact on the housing inventory, you'll need a lot more new construction, investors deciding to sell, either people getting divorces where you may not be looking to purchase another one, just sell the asset you have, or deaths in the family where somebody passes away and their heirs sell off the property. Those people are putting homes on the market to sell them without necessarily buying another one. But I really don't see any of these dramatically increasing. So yes, we'll probably see more inventory this year and more transactions this year, but not a huge increase in inventory. Definitely not enough to balance the demand we're currently seeing in the housing market. Bright MLS predicts that we'll see about 4.6 million homes transact this year, which is up from the 4.1 million homes we saw transact in 2023, but it's nowhere near the 5 million transactions we saw in 2022 and 6.1 million transactions we saw in 2021. So how about buyer demand? Now, seasonally, we can see buyer demand pick up as we enter in the spring and summer months, but I really think we're gonna see a lot more buyer demand as we see those rates start to drop a little bit, right? Buyers buy for payment, not price points. So as those rates drop, we're gonna see buyers' affordability increase a little bit. But one caveat to that is, as more buyers see those rates drop, there's gonna be more buyers in the market, so there's gonna be more competition and demand for the current inventory that we have. So you're probably gonna see a little bit of an increase in competition. So we're really seeing millions of buyers sitting on the sidelines right now waiting for those rates to drop. Now, yes, some of them do have a home to sell, so they'll increase the inventory a little bit as they buy another one, but a lot of them are renters, right? We have a lot of Gen Z and millennials that will be purchasing homes for the first time. So that's going to really increase that demand. And when you look at real estate, it is all about supply versus demand. So I don't expect to see the craziness we saw in the real estate market at the first half of last year and also 2022, but we're probably still going to see a pretty competitive market for buyers out there until we have more supply on the market, which I just don't see where we're gonna get that supply from. Really, the only other thing that could give us a big boost in the amount of homes on the market is a lot of distressed sales, maybe some foreclosures coming on the market, but I really don't see that happening. Because right now you really see homeowner equity at all-time highs, the employment market is still strong, and we've seen a record low number of foreclosures. So the idea that we're gonna see all these distressed homes come onto the market, in my opinion, is not really gonna happen. So how about home prices? Where will home prices go here in 2024? And guys, frankly, your guess is as good as mine. A lot of things have to fall in place for a home price prediction to come true. But I personally believe 2024 will look a lot like 2023 in a lot of different ways. I do believe there's going to be more transactions this year. We're going to see an improvement in rates and inflation, and buyers' affordability will improve just a little bit. But because of home buyer affordability and where that currently sits, I think there is a little bit of a ceiling on how high home prices can go this year. I do think we'll see a little bit of a pop in prices as those rates start to drop, but I don't expect to see a huge quick rate drop. So it's going to be a gradual change over time. I personally think we're probably going to see home price appreciation somewhere between 3 and 5% this year. So for those of you who are considering if you should buy now or possibly wait, these are all the different types of factors that you really need to take into account and consider. What's the likelihood that home prices will drop and mortgage rates will drop and housing inventory will increase, right? We're most likely going to see the home prices slightly increase as those rates drop. Now, you might have a little bit more of an affordable payment, but you may be paying a little bit more for that house as well. But the real reality is buying, selling, and investing in real estate is a very personal decision. I always tell people you have to make that move when it's right for you. And you really want to make the decision based around how long you're planning on living in the home, how much money you have in the bank, if you're comfortable with the mortgage payment, and many factors just like this. What you really don't want to do is make a decision now to hope something's going to happen in the future, to hope rates are going to drop, to hope prices are going to increase, because frankly nobody knows and things can change along the way. So you don't want to put yourself in a negative financial position now to hope something's going to happen in the future. With that being said, if you are considering making a move here in 2024, myself and my team would love to be your real estate resource of choice. If you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, feel free to give us a call, text us, email us. Love to sit down with you and learn a little bit more about your personal situation to help you discover if now is a good time or if you're better served waiting a little bit. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.